You're listening to the Health Courage Collective podcast, episode 100, How to Be More Driven. Welcome to the Health Courage Collective podcast, the show for women who are too busy to slog through hours of generalized, inapplicable, and often contradictory health information, but too smart to ignore that a few minutes of focused attention now can prevent years of suffering in the future. I'm your host, Christina Hackett, a pharmacist who doesn't want you to live on prescriptions, a certified coach specifically trained to maximize your potential, and a compulsive learner obsessed with preventative, cutting-edge, holistic, and integrative medicine. I'm on a mission to increase your physical and mental resilience so you can fearlessly look forward to your next 40-plus limitless years. Your time is now. Let's go. Hello, my friend, and welcome to another episode, the 100th episode. Dun, 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 dun. I can't believe it. This is so fun. Well, fun for me. Not sure you care what episode number it is, as long as it's worth your time to listen. I really do try hard to make sure it always is, but I think this one is especially good. So, how's your comfort level? Have you started to notice all of the comforts we've become accustomed to and how getting away from them a little bit here and there can make your life better? Being someone who can handle discomfort and adversity makes your life better and actually more enjoyable, like for real. Today, we're going to talk about how to be more driven. I would describe the people that I really admire as driven. How about you? I love watching and being in the sphere of influence of people who are driven and passionate about making a difference in their own idiosyncratic way. It's inspiring and makes me feel better about the world. I've had a few people lately saying something to me about being so driven or asking me how I stay driven or something to that effect. It's sweet of them to say, but compared with some of my heroes that I follow, I feel like a corn dog at a hot dog party. Not quite up to par, but I do try. And honestly, what drives me or inspires me, I guess it was more accurate, is you. I know the world will be a different place if there are more strong, driven women with wisdom, experience, and fierce compassion. That's you now and 30 years from now. So if I can help give you an idea that adds to your drive and ability to make your contribution in your own way, I am all in. To be driven, you need a driving force, right? A purpose, a why, and a what. I've always admired people with an audacious mission. I remember once hearing Joe DeSena, the founder of Spartan Race, talking about his determination to get Spartan races declared an Olympic sport. He didn't say he wanted to. He said, I will. I swear it in blood. And I was like, whoa, I want to swear something in blood? Sounds intense. My heroic coach mentor, Brian Johnson, often talks about what he calls his sacred vow. He has it tattooed on his body. It's the reason why he does everything he does. And it makes me think, aw, I want a sacred vow. Then maybe I'd be cool. No, but really, having that fierce determination is awesome and can evolve who you fundamentally are. Purpose expert William Damon, who has written 20 books and who I got to be on a Zoom call with a few weeks ago, says that the 3 things you need in order to have purpose are interest in the subject, a capacity or aptitude for the subject, and the world must want or need what you're doing. I think one of the cool things about having a clear purpose, a sacred vow, something you swear in blood, is that it can eliminate a bunch of the nonsense from your life. You won't be distracted by every shiny object, discouraged by someone's criticism, or second guess every decision you make if you're marching toward your sacred vow. You'd be driven. It's simultaneously harder because it requires more from you, and easier because it removes ambiguity and nonsense. So, to be more driven, we first need a mind-alteringly huge epiphany about the sacred purpose for the 36,500 days we'll spend on this planet, right? Some kind of unmistakable vision that will cause us to act in a way that everyone will say, that girl is driven, right? Dr. Phil Stutz, who I talk about all the time, is a psychologist with a ton of experience with people performing at literally the highest levels in the world. He says that often patients would come to him demoralized, saying, like, I stay in bed till 11 o'clock every day. I eat junk food all day. I never exercise or clean up, and I spend 8 hours a day watching TV. If I had a purpose or something meaningful, I wouldn't be like this. I keep trying to think of something big enough to motivate me. To which Dr. Stutz, brilliant as he is, answers, no. Do not try to answer that question. You're not going to find out who you are and what's important to you or where you should be going by thinking. Thinking is too stupid. He says that the way you find out what's important to you and where you should be going is from what he calls your life force. According to him, developing your life force is a one-size-fits-all equation that you cannot skip over. He describes it as a pyramid with 3 layers. The base is your relationship with your body. The second level is your relationship with other people, and the tip is your relationship with yourself. He says everyone thinks they need to have a reason to live first, and then they'll have the drive to take care of themselves. But it's actually the other way around. If you start at the base of the pyramid and get systematic about taking care of your physical body, you automatically increase your physical energy and your overall life force, which then helps you deal with everything else around you. As you're consistent with your practices to take care of your physical body, you automatically start thinking bigger. Not from thinking, but from doing. As your behaviors become more and more aligned with having a great relationship with your physical body, you move to working on improving your relationships with other people and then your relationship with yourself. Each effort you make to improve these things, what he calls your life force, gives you the capacity to do more and more amazing things, to dream bigger and actually go out and do the things that you dream of doing, even if they're scary, especially if they're scary. Phil says that the only way to allow that higher intelligence within yourself to emerge is to follow the life force pyramid, because you're not interested in intellectual solutions. You're interested in the vision your life force has to drive you into the unknown. What do you think? I love this concept of not trying to find a purpose by thinking, but to allow your own personal life force to drive you into the unknown. And that you access that intelligence that's already inside of you by attending to the habits that make your physical body healthier, your relationships healthier, and your subconscious mind healthier. I think those 3 things are the things that we often think, I know I should pay more attention to what I eat or prioritize my sleep, but we don't get serious about doing it because we don't realize that is the way to unlock our drive to make our mark on the world. Get your life force up, and suddenly you become unstoppable. Hey there! I wanted to quickly interrupt and let you know that it's so much less of a struggle to consistently dominate your health choices when the thoughts you think naturally nudge you toward what you're trying to achieve. If you're looking to more consistently rock your healthy behaviors, I have a completely free 18-minute mini course for smart women like you who know that sometimes a quick mind flip can go a long way. Click the link in the show notes or go to healthcourage.ck/page/mini for this free mini course on 6 thoughts people who consistently rock their health choices think, and start putting one of them to good use inside your head today. Something else that Phil Stutz taught his client, Brian Johnson, which Brian Johnson taught his client, which is me, is this concept that the worse you feel, the more committed you are to your protocol. I remember where I was sitting in my house when I heard this for the first time, and I was like, oh my gosh, amazing. The worse you feel, the more committed you are to your protocol. Most people come up with a plan that's really hard to pull off even on the best day. And then when it's a bad day, it all goes out the window. I know that feeling very well. I think it's totally natural to be like, oh, I had a crappy day, I deserve a treat. Or, Today really sucked. I deserve to blow off the walk I had planned and to watch 7 episodes of The Mindy Project instead. How often do you hear about stress eating or emotional eating or having to skip the gym because of a big project? Only meditating on the days that you have extra time, which is never. It's so normal to lower your standards when things are hard, to give yourself a break, to backslide. But what if feeling bad or having a bad day were your cue to double down on your protocol? Not in a masochistic way, but in a, I love myself so much, I'm going to really treat myself well kind of way. Who would you be if you consistently did that? Can you feel it? Can you imagine it? For whatever reason, this is really dumb, but when I first heard that, I was flabbergasted, and I immediately decided to start then and there with hanging up my clothes before I got in bed. Stupid, I know, but it instantly came to mind, so I just went with it. It was something I would usually do unless I was feeling really bad, mostly overtired. Then I would leave them on the back of the chair and leave myself one more thing to have to do the next day, unless I was too busy the next day. I imagined feeling the worst I ever felt at bedtime when I was pretty much out of it and could hardly even stagger into my bedroom. Then I imagined that being my cue to being even more committed to hanging up my clothes or putting them in the hamper or whatever. I realize that's super silly, but I haven't missed a single day in over 2 years. Doing it on the days when it was the hardest gave me the most joy. Yes, that's like me. I can do anything, no matter how I feel. Nowadays, I almost never go to bed so overtired that I'm zombie walking in there. I put my clothes away, journal a few key items, plan out my next day, check my metabolism, and review the commitments I made myself that day. It's thousands of times better. And it started with being more committed to doing one dorky little thing the worse I felt. Imagine if you were able to do that with food and exercise and meditation and following your to-do list. You can. You can. Brian calls it a powerful ticket to invincibility, and I totally think he's right. If you have a doable protocol, not something ridiculously difficult, and you can feel inside yourself that when it gets hard and you really don't want to do it, that's when you're more committed to do it. You become unstoppable. I could talk about this forever because I know it can change your life, but for now, we'll just leave it at saying this is anti-fragility. You've probably heard that term before, but if you can really operationalize it in your life in the context of intelligent behavior design, you can do anything you want. You know what being fragile is, that the slightest snag in your day causing the entirety of your plans to unravel and you not doing anything you swore you to yourself you would do and taking 3 days to recover. I think that's unfortunately pretty normal. Being resilient is awesome. That's being able to take a certain number of hits and still bounce back, not losing your footing for too long. But being anti-fragile is putting a kick me sign on yourself because you know that that is the thing that secretly makes you stronger. Problems and obstacles give you more determination and more power. Hard things keep you on track. It's more natural for you to stay under the number of grams of sugar you set for yourself when someone gifts you a brownie. You're more likely to go to the gym when you're feeling blah. You create an even better environment for deep concentration when you're feeling hyper-distractible. You meditate longer on the days you feel that you have no extra time. Anti-fragile, it's good stuff. It's your ticket to invincibility. It's an art and a science, and I'd love to help you become invincible. Make sure you get into the Health Courage Collective program, and we will get you there. So, back to getting clarity on your purpose. You can't just sit around and think about what might someday motivate you to take care of your body, your relationships, and your mind. You get into action taking care of those things first, and then the ideas start to appear. And you need to act on those ideas. Be willing to try things out that you're sure you'll be bad at. Get excited about doing something you might not succeed at. Know that it might be a long road, so have fun along the way. Action is what drives creativity, so do something, even if you might end up quitting it somewhere down the road. You have to get out of the abstract and into the concrete so that you have the opportunity to feel it and experience it, and more importantly, reflect on it. William Damon talks about an important part of discovering your purpose being feedback loops. You need to try, possibly fail, try, possibly succeed, and then reflect on all of it. It's an iterative process that requires lots of repetition. Purpose isn't granted to only a lucky few. It's not handed to you by someone else, and you don't discover it by thinking. Remember, thinking is too stupid. Purpose is self-created, and I would say it might change over time. You discover it by increasing your life force, trying things out, and then reflecting on what is deeply meaningful to you. Okay, this is something I learned from Stephen Kotler. When we're young, we're highly driven by our seeking system. We're all about the pleasure chemicals, dopamine, norepinephrine, and endorphins. We're programmed to seek and be rewarded for our efforts. When we get older and we obtain the things we were seeking, the job, the spouse, the kids, the house, we switch to having more serotonin, oxytocin, and endorphins. Now we're all about protecting what we already have rather than seeking out something new. This is natural and good in a lot of ways because we often feel more satisfied and calm when we're in protection mode and running on serotonin and oxytocin. But if you miss the curiosity, passion, and purpose of your seeking system, you can inject some of that back into your life on purpose and have all of it. If you feel like some of that seeking drive has faded into the background, you just need to consciously reboot it. You can have a healthy level of seeking along with your calm, connected satisfaction. Most people don't consciously reboot their seeking system, and that's part of why they can feel less driven as they get older. Keeping your dopamine reward system going in a healthy way, like not via donuts or crack, will help you age better. You'll have more spark. You'll be more you, which is what the world needs. What do you think you could do to reboot your seeking system? What are you curious about? What interests you that you might become passionate about someday? What could you try out just to see how it feels? When I heard Stephen Kotler talking about this seeking system thing, what it made me think of, or for whatever reason for me, was lifting weights. Y'all know that I love it and I never miss a gym day. Like ever, unless I'm seriously ill. And even then, I'm mad about it. It's a core part of who I am, but I didn't used to be that way. I remember trying out all the tips and tricks of putting out your workout clothes the night before, at least putting your shoes on and leaving your house, even if you don't end up running at all. Thinking of a reward for myself that I could have if I completed my workout. Those are fine if they help you. But once I started going to a gym where we had certain lifts and workouts that were repeated and written down on the whiteboard, everything changed. I saw what I could do and what I wanted to be able to do. I got curious about how I might get better. I knew what to focus on, and I had a huge sense of satisfaction as the numbers on that whiteboard improved. I fell in love with the process. The more struggle required, the more satisfying the improvement was. The more I hated something on the program, the more I knew it was what I really needed to get closer to my goals. It changed who I am and set me up for a life with a drive to see what I'm physically capable of. And I think what lit that fire was that, even though I didn't realize it at the time, my seeking system got rebooted. Instead of exercising because I should, all of a sudden, I was learning new things, I was super curious, I was motivated to do better, and I saw a clear path to get there with data and aspirations. It was one of the best things that ever happened to me, and it happened because I was curious about trying out CrossFit in my neighbor's garage and willing to go be really bad at it, which I was at first. I remember my coach there, who had impeccable grammar, by the way, saying at the very beginning that all he expected from me was to run what you brung. I thought that was funny, but it's perfect for trying something new, especially if you feel intimidated. Be willing to try things out that you feel drawn to. They might not change your life. You might find out that you hate them. They might give you an idea for something different to go try. But you need to get into action and see what you can do to reboot your seeking system. Find something you want to go after and improve at. Start crappy. Run what you brung and reflect on what it means to you. Once you get your life force up and you get into action and you reboot your seeking system, you'll have more clarity on what you want to give your life over to. You'll be more driven to keep improving. The best part of being driven is when you realize that the hard parts are the best parts, not the achievement. Cal Newport wrote a bunch of books, including Deep Work, Digital Minimalism, and So Good They Can't Ignore You. And I was on a Zoom call with him the other day where he was talking about how his least favorite part of being a best-selling author are the launch parties and the book promotions and all of the praise from the media and the world in general about his fabulous new book. His favorite part is when he's neck deep in ideas that make no cohesive sense and he doesn't know what to do or whether he's ever going to be able to pull it together. He loves the hard part. He enjoys the struggle. And I think that's what makes him so good and so successful. He teaches a lot about the craftsman mindset, approaching what you've given your life over to like a craftsman, rather than just having a passion mindset. Passion for what you do is great and all of that, but craftsmanship is about developing well thought out, polished works. It's about continually seeking out new techniques to hone your skills and just get a little bit better every time you try something. Craftsmanship takes a long time. Craftsmen take deep pride in their accomplishments while still seeking to find ways to get even more skilled. This is how you become so good they can't ignore you, right? You can have an awesome, inspiring dream, but it's not going to change the world on its own. Dreams are great. I love the idea of having a sacred vow. Brian Johnson has a sacred vow that he recommits to every morning, and it's tattooed on his arm, that 51% of the world's population will be flourishing by 2051. Having one thing that you'd give over everything to make happen is inspiring. But what if you can't see your path that clearly? If you can't, but you'd like to, I'd say the first step is to add a yet to the end of that sentence. I can't see my path that clearly yet, but someday I will. The way to get there is to do the reps. Brian Johnson shared a video of his normal morning routine where he envisions what he wants and writes it out every single morning. He's been writing it out every day for decades in order to commit to and get clear about what he wants and what he wants his whole life to have been about. He recommits to his sacred vow of creating a world where 50% of the world's population is flourishing by 2051 every morning now. But for many, many, many years, he was committing to his best articulation of it at the time. And it was different, and it slowly evolved over time. Every morning that he wrote it out, it got a little bit more clear. If you want a clear vision, you need to put in the reps. Maybe after 3,650 mornings of writing it out, you'll have something clear, concise, and ridiculously inspiring too. Something that you would swear in blood. But know that crafting it takes time and relentless repetition. What do you want to be known for? What do you care deeply about? What are you most able to do? What do you never get tired of doing? Getting started and getting into motion on doing something and letting it evolve over time. Chances are very slim that your perfect sacred vow is just going to fall into your lap one day. You have to earn it, rep by rep, as you take what you believe to be the next right step over and over until things start to clear up. Take care of your physical health and your life force will start to drive you to what's most important. Remember, the intelligence is already there inside of you. We just have to figure out how to let it come out. Writing is a great way to see inside yourself in a unique way. As with everything in life, consistency is the key. Little things add up. The sublime comes through the mundane. If you're ready to get 100% consistent holding yourself to a higher standard, be sure to go to https://healthcourage.ck.page/interest or my website, healthcouragecollective.com, and get the details to find out if joining a program of like-minded, forward-thinking women is the right move for you to get your life force up. You can become more driven to master your long-term health and longevity goals, and it's seriously so fun to become someone who you can trust, someone with an exciting future, and to do it alongside other women who are walking similar paths, especially if you're the only one in your family looking to make some of these changes. You don't have to do it alone. You can become an unstoppable force for good. I'm here to help you. It starts with getting your life force up, and today is the day to start. Most importantly, in your pursuit of becoming more driven, make sure you're happy and present and appreciative of what you have right now. Happiness is only right now. Don't forget to look for it and let it in. It's contentment and enoughness with your life exactly the way it already is. You can be driven to achieve more while still being totally satisfied with what you already have. Make sure that the actions you're taking to improve your future life are also enjoyable today, and that you're not holding off on loving yourself until you're different. That you're not driven because you think you would be happier or better once you get the thing that you want. You won't. So make sure you always know what you're driving yourself for. I want you to be in optimal health. It's my life's mission and sacred vow in the making. I hope I've made a somewhat convincing argument as to why. But optimal health isn't an end unto itself, just like having a lot of money or power or notoriety isn't an end unto itself. Why do you want that? What are you going to do with it? A 7-figure number in your bank account won't make you a better or happier person. Neither will having excellent bone density and mitochondrial function. What? It's about what those things enable you to do for other people. Having measurable targets is extremely useful. Being driven to greatness and holding yourself to a higher standard are amazing. Just never lose sight of the sacred values that lie behind those standards and targets. That's what you're really after. And don't forget to enjoy the enoughness and joy that exist in your life just the way it is right now. Thank you so much for being here today. If you're ready to be more driven in a grounded and joyful way, don't miss your chance to join me and other forward-thinking women as we get our life forces up together. Go to my website, healthcouragecollective.com, and get in forward motion today. Stop collecting ideas and start actually implementing them. It will change your life. Next week, we're going to talk about EMFs and whether it's worth your time to care about electropollution. Until then, get your life force up, do the reps, and don't be normal. Thank you so much for tuning into the Health Courage Collective podcast. I am truly honored that you have paid me the enormous compliment of your time and attention. I would be so grateful if you would share this podcast with someone you know and subscribe so you never miss an episode. This podcast is for entertainment and information purposes only. Statements and views on this podcast are not medical advice. This podcast, including Christina Hackett and producers, disclaim responsibility for any possible adverse events by use of information contained herein. If you think you have a medical problem, consult a licensed physician.